This is a world of loss. The pandemic has lasted for 6 years. When humans finally developed the antidote, it brought a greater crisis. This antidote can only heal 75% of the infected. Even if the body recovers, they still retain the memory of not looking back when the plague happened. The rest of the loss is because of the antidepressants in the body that can never turn back to humans. Just when the official thought about how to deal with these drug-resistant infected people, the third batch, the last batch of healers, left the quarantine camp and prepared to return to human society. But before they got out of the car, they were protested by a large number of residents. They firmly believe that even if they lose, they will return to humans. They can't erase the evil nature of their hearts. Maybe one day they will become bloodthirsty demons again. The public's attitude is undoubtedly to pour a basin of cold water on the head of the healer. This means that it is very difficult for them to stand up in society. Even if the authorities forcefully intervene, healers can only do the lowest level of work. The hero Jack is relatively lucky. Sister-in-law Ellie did not rise to the occasion because she was a healer. She even took the initiative to take in the other party. At the same time, Jack is grateful, but he is also extremely guilty because he has a secret. He can't say it out loud. It turned out that his brother was bitten to death by him before. This almost became a nightmare for Jack. Ada is also the third batch of healers. When he returned home, he dared not knock on the door until his father walked out of the house. Ada smiled and said that he had recovered. However, his father was full of anger. It turned out that Ada's mother was bitten to death by him after the mutilation. This family has long lost Ada's place. Not only that, the government introduced Ada to a clean job, but when she came to the home of the employer, the other party closed the door and did not let her in. The local people's prejudice against healers is obvious, and Jack here is much luckier. He was arranged by the government to work in a quarantine center. There are corpses everywhere. For ordinary people, it's hell, but for some reason, even the cruel corpses will not attack the healers. No wonder the residents are prejudiced, and even treat them as infected. Chief Researcher Liz's eyes are a bit dim. He has tried countless ways, but still can't cure these deadly corpses. Jack sat aside and did not know how to comfort, because he knew that the corpse in front of him was Liz's lover. And the military also issued a notice not long ago that they will focus on clearing these incurable corpses. Liz is in deep despair. She doesn't know how to face her lover and a large number of infected people in the quarantine center. After a day's work, Jack found Ada, who had no home to return to. There are many healers here who are similar to Ada. They are all complaining that they have been treated unfairly. But at this time, a few soldiers walked in. It turns out that the military has been monitoring the healers who have returned. The commander's officer reminded Ada not to be resentful and act impulsively. Let your group of healers return. It is already the biggest kindness of the government. Ada is angry and painful in her heart. She was about to do it, but she was beaten by the other party. It turns out that Ada was a glamorous lawyer before the infection. The huge contrast between the front and the back makes her resentment deeper and deeper in her heart. The Jack here woke up from the nightmare again. The nephew stood outside the door and glared at him with some fear. When he came to the hall, Jack saw that the door was broken by someone. It seems that his sister-in-law also suffered a lot of hatred. He came to the isolation center in a hurry. It just so happens that 2 soldiers are spying on the infected. Jack rushed up to stop him. While this bastard was crazy, the funeral began to chase and bully his own soldiers. It's a pity that he was soon shot to death. In the eyes of these soldiers, the infected who can't be cured can no longer be called humans. After the government's cleaning announcement was released, the healers were immediately strongly opposed. After all, they also came from the funeral. No one can be sure that the military will not take action on these healers after the drug loss has been cleaned up. Ada, who was originally full of resentment, decided to take the initiative to attack and provoke revenge on those who discriminated against their own residents. Jack's heart was still calm. He didn't want to participate in this action, but he couldn't stop his friends from persuading him again and again that Ada's promise was just to throw a few burning bottles in the deserted area and it wouldn't cause any casualties. But Jack didn't expect that this fire actually caused the death of a soldier. The official defined this incident as a terrorist attack and also caught a lot of residents on the street. This is all to pay tribute to Ada's steadfastness before the action and successfully helped everyone get rid of the suspicion. He also officially became the leader of the third wave of healers. Under the encouragement of the public, Ada confidently said that he was planning a bigger action to let everyone recognize the importance of healers again. And the sister-in-law here heard about the attack last night and persuaded Jack not to participate in it. Jack had no intention of hurting people and agreed to draw a clear line with the whole group of healers. However, his vision of returning to normal life was much more difficult than expected. This day, Ada took the initiative to invite Jack to attend the healer meeting tomorrow. Seeing that the other party was a little hesitant, he instantly understood the importance of it and deliberately provoked this sister-in-law's relationship. He asked Ellie, Can you accept the healer? Even if the other party is the murderer who killed your husband. Ellie did not understand the implication. But Jack was already holding his fist nervously. Fortunately, Ada did not point at his killer enemy and sat across from him. This was obviously an attempt to remind Jack to let him understand the truth. The healers still belong to the infected camp. They can never return to human society. However, Jack and Ada have different experiences. For example, he has a kind-hearted sister-in-law around him, and even his nephew gradually accepted it. Jack only wanted to return to normal life as soon as possible. But the actual situation was hard to get people's attention. This day, the military officer found Ellie. They found out that the third wave of healers were often doing things in the dark, and Jack and the leader Ada were very familiar. The officer wanted Ellie to contact himself, then he took out another photo. It turned out that Jack was infected after being bitten by Ada. This is exactly the direct relative. But Ellie believes that Jack did not stay with those healers. In order to confirm his thoughts, he secretly came to the gathering place of healers with a camera. Just when he saw that Ada was holding a mobilization meeting, he actually planned to use the dead to fight the military. Ellie was going to record it and inform the officer. Unexpectedly, the healer who was patrolling was found. Fortunately, his action was fatal enough. He escaped from the healer's house. Dr. Lee, who was in the medical center, has been in trouble these days. Not only has his girlfriend's condition not improved, but it has become more and more crazy. When the wind comes to see people, he will bite. At a critical moment, a team of soldiers rushed into the ward. They have received a superior order to carry out a death penalty for all antiviral infections. Desperate, Lee chose to join Ada's resistance in order to save his girlfriend, and Jack here is about to go to bed. Suddenly, he was knocked out by two uninvited guests. When he woke up, he immediately called the police. As a result, the police said that this kind of incident was not seen in the healer's family. It seems that the police can't count on it. In order to ensure the safety of Ellie's mother and son, Jack took the initiative to seek help from Ada, and Ellie's family found that the memory card in the camera was missing. He instantly realized that the intruder last night was sent by Ada. At this time, Jack had no idea. He followed Ada to the healer's home. Unexpectedly, Lee, who saw the medical center, learned that this group of people wanted to use the funeral to deal with the military. He advised Ada and Lee not to be impulsive, but in order to save his girlfriend, Lee obviously wanted to walk on a path until it was dark. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside. It turned out that the military had come to arrest people. Ada immediately led people to escape through the back door, but Jack chose to slow down and let the soldiers catch him on purpose. He realized that his friend wanted to draw a clear line with him. Ada's eyes were full of anger. After escaping from the healer's home, he immediately found Ellie and told her the secret of Jack biting his husband to death. The military officer felt that Jack wanted to return to normal life, so he persuaded her to be a spy in the healer's camp. Although Jack did not recognize Ada's impulsive behavior, he did not want to betray his friend, so he refused the officer's proposal without hesitation. When he returned home, he saw his sister-in-law with tears in her eyes. Only then did he realize that he had been betrayed by Ada. Although Jack apologized, it was not his intention to bite his brother to death. But in the end, Ellie drove him out of the house. This incident made Jack see Ada clearly. In order to achieve the nature of purposeless means, he asked him out that night, in the name of wanting to enter the rebel army of the healer. In fact, it was a trap to invite the army into the dream. But what was unnoticeable was that the military officer himself came to arrest the leader of the terrorist organization. As a result, there was no accident. Ada, who was taken away, was killed on the spot. The man picked up his gun and was full of anger. But even so, he still hoped that Jack could join him. However, Jack kept biting his teeth and refused to bow. When the two sides were in a stalemate, a siren was heard not far away. Ada scolded. In the end, she let go of Jack, her old friend. On the day of the operation, with the help of Ellie, the two healers who pretended to be caretakers easily killed the guards at the door. In a hurry to enter the control room, Ellie saw that her girlfriend was still locked in the isolation area, so she entered the open command without hesitation. Almost at the same time, all the anti-drug infected people left the isolation room. This is the key loophole in this operation. Only when the whole camp is in chaos, Ada and the others have a chance to defeat the guards. What surprised Alice was that the antidote experimented on her girlfriend was successful. The other party has now become a normal human being. However, Alice was not happy enough. A zombie rushed out and spat at her. Pity for her heart-shaped antidote. She died before it was time to promote it. At this time, many dead came to the town. Ellie was going to pick up her son who was going to school, but she was forced by the soldiers to get on the truck. At this time, Jack happened to pass by. Alice can only entrust the other party to help find her son. The school has already fallen. Fortunately, Alice's son was not injured. Jack hurried to hug the other party to leave. He is a healer, not afraid of losing, but the little boy is different. Jack can only find a place to hide him, but he didn't want his friend Ada to suddenly appear. Jack still refused to surrender. At this time, he really wanted to kill. Fortunately, at the critical moment, two soldiers happened to pass by, directly shot to kill Ada. Looking at his old friend's tragic death, Jack could not help but be sad, because his nephew was in danger. He killed two zombies without mercy. At this time, Ellie has been sent to a new isolation area by the military. These are ordinary residents who were forcibly captured. Due to the lack of manpower, the scene was very chaotic. Ellie found a chance to sneak out of the camp. She came to the street and saw a dead soldier. She just picked up a gun. A zombie came over. Unexpectedly, the night fell. Ellie finally returned to her home. Jack was not as good as his life. He waited with his nephew for a long time. However, the mother and son did not have time to rescue. A zombie suddenly rushed out of the corner. Although Jack killed the other party soon, the little boy was still bit. Ellie didn't want her son to become a zombie. She didn't want her son to live like a healer, so she silently picked up the gun. Jack hurried to stop her. In Ellie's eyes, Jack hugged his nephew and disappeared in the dark night. At the end of the story, the zombie in the town was cleaned up by the military. However, the opposition of the healer was deeper than before. Jack led his nephew, who was healed, to hide in the wilderness. Maybe this is the best way to survive as a healer. The above is all the content of the third wave. I watched a lot of zombie movies. I have to say that the setting of this movie is very interesting. On the surface, it is a zombie crisis. In fact, it is a common prejudice in the hearts of dark fans. The arrogance and prejudice engraved in the bones may be more terrible than a zombie natural disaster. If you are a resident of the town, would you choose to treat a healed zombie with a normal heart, even if the other party has committed a terrible crime? Welcome to leave a comment in the comment area. See you next time.